way this will work is I'll give a 3 to 4 minute quick breakdown of persuasion, my thoughts on it, how you can improve on it, how you can use it in your life. After that, Harvey will come up and I will give you guys probably just a 30 to 60 second very quick breakdown of what our role play will be. And then we're going to proceed into our role play. And Harvey and I will be dynamically going back and forth, as you will see very soon. Persuasion. Brian Tracy says that to feel truly effective in your life, to feel good about yourself, you have to be able to persuade other people. So how do you do it? What's the secret? Number one, you have to believe in what you're persuading about. It sounds very simple, but it's key. If you don't believe in what you're talking about, no one's going to believe you. You have to truly know the benefits of what you're talking about. You have to know what that product will do to help that person. If you don't, they'll walk away from you or they'll never talk to you about that product again. Now, there are 7 steps to an effective sales presentation, but if I went into each step, like the prospecting and the cold calling, you guys aren't going to remember that, and you'd go home tonight and forget everything I said. So I'm just going to keep it really simple. There are 3 steps to a clutch, awesome sales presentation that if you follow, you will get people to buy from you every single time. Step number 1, build rapport. That's it. Just build rapport. Ask questions. A lot of salespeople tend to talk too much, but you need to listen. Understand what's going on in their lives. Listen to their problems. Don't think that they're going to give you some superfluous, needless information, because that is not the case. By listening to them, you're going to hear everything that's going on in their lives, and you might hear a kernel of information that applies perfectly to your product. That's why you need to be a good listener. Be a friend to them. Be natural, casual, just normal. Don't think, oh, I have to sell them this product or do all this. Don't just be loose, be cool, and talk to them. If they're a person exactly like you. Number 2, go into the benefits of your product. So know your product. Again, this is very simple, but a lot of salespeople tend to have a lot of fluff and not enough content. So make sure you know facts. Give them reliable and useful information that allows them to help their lives and the people around them. Give them facts about your product that they know substantially. They can report to their bosses and their company and say, hey, he has a point. He has a reason why he's selling that to us. It can fit our need. We'll take it. And finally, don't be afraid to close the deal. Number 3 is ask for what you want. I'm going to quote Brian Tracy again just because he's my favorite success guru and I'm obsessed with him, self-admittedly. And he says the number 1 quality of successful people is that they are not afraid to ask for what they want. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a guy and a girl talking and they're flirting. You can tell they like each other, but the guy just can't close the deal. I see it all the time. But what do you have to lose? Just ask her out. It's the same thing in sales. Just ask. Do you want it? Do you want to buy it? If you are afraid of being that direct, then be a little indirect about it, but still try to get them to buy it. So what's an example? Well, say, what kind of pen would you like to use to sign? Or ask them, when would you like to take this product home, today or tomorrow? Don't give them a yes or no question. Give them options in their mind that will work for the situation so that they will buy the product. Tell them that this is something that can really help them in their lives. Show it to them. Be natural, be normal, and then ask for what you want. And almost every time, you got the deal. And with that, I'd like to bring up my good friend, Harvey Bailey. So over the past month and a half, I've been given something called the gift of time, and I've been able to work really hard on my book. I finished the 2nd draft, and I'm editing it fervently, and I'm working with some editors and things like that. So what Harvey is going to do is he's going to approach me at a theoretical book event. I'm at a live book event. These happen in Baltimore, New York City, Danbury, Connecticut, all over the country and world. And I would pay a little fee. I'd have my table, and I'll have a little sign that will have the title of my book, From Rock Bottom to the Mountaintop, The Quintessential Traveler. And then, of course, I'd have 5 or 10 hard copies And this is something I'm really going to do. I'm set to be published. I don't want to give an exact date, but I am shooting at the absolute latest for like April and May, maybe even sooner. So I'm excited to get my book out there. And so far I've received positive feedback, so it'll be fun to have more people read it. So again, Harvey's going to approach me, and we'll move forward from there. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Quintessential traveler, huh? What
Yeah.
is this about?
Well, have you ever traveled before, like around the country or world, or
Yeah, I do a lot of traveling.
any place in particular that you like? Do you like Europe, or are you mainly in the U.S., or what's your favorite part of it?
Kind of wherever I can go. Every year I try to go different places. Doesn't really matter where, just go.
Now let me ask you a question. I like that mentality of spontaneity. I embody that in my book. And I want to ask you, when you're just going, do you find that you're having amazing experiences? Like, do you feel like you're hitting the mountaintop?
Sometimes. Depends upon how much money I have, or sometimes it doesn't matter how much money. Sometimes you have a great time and you have no money. So,
Okay.
different places.
So
have different
money is kind
experiences.
of the point that determines if you have a good time or not, would you say?
Yeah, money is always a point. But sometimes, I guess, it depends upon where you go. Some places, even if you're broke, you have no money, you still have a great time. Different places have different vibrations, different atmospheres. So is that what this book is about? Does it specify particular places?
Yes, it does. I've traveled all over Europe, and what you just described is a way I felt earlier on in my life when I was traveling.
Really?
And what I found is that despite the amount of money you have, whether it's a lot or a little, you can have incredible experiences. What if I were to tell you that it's in a story format, obviously. It reads like a narrative, very smooth, and there's probably 50, 55, 60 stories stacked up in a row. I'm not talking about 1, 2, or 3, but I mean 50 in a row of mountaintop experiences from a kid who had no money. And it happened almost every time. Actually, let me rephrase it, happened every time.
True stories?
All of them are 100% true. Now, what if you could do that yourself? Would you be interested in something like that?
I would be interested in something like that.
Does that excite you? I mean, do you get excited when you think, hey, I can hit the mountaintop. I don't need a lot of money. I could have $5 on me. I could have 20, but no matter what, I'm going to have a night to remember, a night I can talk about for years to come.
It sounds interesting. Does this book tell me how to do that?
That's a great question. Thank you for it. It's both. What I do is I have it in story format. So yes, it's going to be my stories, but I then put kernels of truth and information that explain either how I did it or the principle I used depending on the circumstance. For example, budget traveling, couchsurfing.org is the greatest site in the world. It's a win-win-win all around because I met countless locals. You spend no money and you make good friends. And some of those couchsurfing friends, I'm still in touch to this day. We email each other. So that's a good example of the how. And then there's whys in there too. I give you motivational tips, it gives you inspirational tips, and then I give you kernels from my story that you can apply in your life.
Okay. So how much is the book?
Right now it's running for $7.99. It originally was a little bit more, but I just wanted to drop it down so that more people could buy it. And so far, people have liked it, and I think it would apply to your life, and I think if you read that, you'd really enjoy it.
$8 roughly, huh?
Yes.
I have to think about it.
Okay. And is there anything that I haven't answered or that is preventing you from maybe picking up right now and just getting it? Because I've got a hard copy right here. It's a lot. If you order, you've got shipping fees, and I've had a great time at this event. It's closing in an hour. I have this one last copy. I'd love to get it. You can share it with your family. It's a great story to go around. You guys might start traveling the world together, for all you know.
Sounds good. $8. Let me ask you this. If I buy this book today, there's stuff in here that I can actually use. Not just be amused and amazed by the wonderful stories here, but practical, easy steps. Basically, I guess what I'm asking is, would I get my money's worth if I buy this book today?
Yes. Because I mix quintessentially practically easy. Let me rephrase that was bad English. I perfectly mix practical steps with the inspiration. So I have the kernels of practical application, but I also have the stories to go along with it, so you can understand the context from which I learned and grew. Would you like to buy? I'll even say, I mean, $7.99. But you know what? I know money's tight these days, and I know you have a family to feed. I'd go to $6 for it.
Okay. That's it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Do you have cash on you, or
I
do you
do.
want to pay with check?
I do. I'll pay with cash.
Thank you, sir. Hope you enjoyed the book.
Thank you.